Welcome, all peoples. So, I am going to somewhat preface, I guess it's right, before we give all the reporting on stuff, just kind of about the importance of missions like this and how we can go and do stuff. So during the week, someone outside of the church posed the question, basically, what was the importance of our mission? Basically. This person asked, how much money did each plane ticket cost? I'm sure that sending a single missionary who is fluent in the language and culture with the thousands of dollars used to fund this trip, and more than just 1 week, could do way more good. Now, he had no proof in his question, but had I not read something the previous night, it would have caught me off guard. It would have made me rethink a couple things. Just, I don't know how much of a difference it would have made, but the previous night I had read something from this book, and it's by David Platt, and he says this before he left on a mission. I remember when I was first preparing to go to Sudan, a nation impoverished by years of civil war. The trip was going to cost me around $3,000. It wasn't easy to travel into Sudan since they were still at war, and we would have to charter a plane and spend a few extra days to make that happen. I remember one dear lady in the church coming up to me and asking a similar question. Why don't you just send the $3,000 to the people in Sudan? Wouldn't that be a better use of money than you're spending a week and a half with them? Think of how far that money could go. I wrestled with that question. Was I wasting these funds in order to go when I could simply give the money instead? Should I even be going? I continued wrestling with that question until I got to Sudan. There I had a conversation with Andrew that shed some light on the question. Andrew was sharing with me about his life in Sudan over the last 20 years. He had known war since he was born, and he described facets of the suffering and persecution his people had been through. He told me about the various groups, most of them secular or government organizations, who had brought supplies to them during that time, and he expressed thanks for the generosity of so many people. Then he looked at me and asked, even in light of all these things that people have given us, do you want to know how you can tell who a true brother is? I leaned forward and asked, how? He responded, a true brother comes to be with you in your time of need. Then he looked me in the eye and said, David, you are a true brother. Thank you for coming to be with us. Tears welled up in my eyes as the reality of the gospel hit home with me in an entirely new way. I was immediately reminded that when God chose to bring salvation to you and me, he did not send gold or silver, or a cash or a check. He sent himself as the Son. I was convicted for even considering that I should give money instead of actually going to Sudan. How will I ever show the gospel to the world if all I said is my money? Was I really so shallow as to think that my money is the answer to the needs in the world? If we're going to accomplish the global purpose of God, it will not be primarily through giving our money, as important as that is. It will happen primarily through giving ourselves. And this is what the gospel represents, and it's what the gospel requires. Just overall, oh man, I gotta find it because I don't. Oh, I didn't have it bookmarked. So, I want to read the Great Commission, though many people have read it before. I'm starting in Matthew 28, verse 18. Then Jesus came near and said to them, all authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth. It's rather an important remark that comes after. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe everything I have commanded you. And remember, I am with you always to the end of the age. Just, I don't know, I'm not as much reporting as I am just giving a brief preface, but I think it's an important encouragement and an important reminder that we are on mission wherever we are to spread the gospel, and it's important that we have a focus on that. So I don't know whoever's next reporting, but
Why not?
Why not?
Praise.
I'm sure you have a bunch of
Well, so I don't want to keep you here all night, but I'm going to start back in February. But in February, I didn't know I was going. But I got a word from the Lord that the women in the village of Jordan need the gospel message. Again at Easter, the same exact message. I still hadn't, so I told Lisa and I said, we have to prepare everyone that's going on this because I don't know who is going to encounter the right person. So I made it my mission that when I was there in the village, that I would be intentional about talking to the women in the village. And I was confident that God would put the opportunity in place. Well, we get there, a few of the people remembered us. And they were very shy, very timid. They didn't want to open up to us. They didn't really want to talk. And you could barely get out of them, this is what I did today. As the week progressed, I spent every day trying to talk to them, sharing with them a little bit more about what it's like to be a godly woman, what it's like to be a godly wife, mother, all of these things. And basically because of the tool that we brought, and I'll let Sheree share that. But, I was able to sit down with the woman that day. I knew it was the last day in the village. And I said, I'm going to be bold. And I'm just going to come out with it. And so we were talking about the Proverbs 31 woman and how a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. And how many of them knew the Lord? Few of them raised their hand. They're just not. Do you know God? Two of them still sat there. Well, we don't go to church. Okay, that's fine. And I was able to share with them the gospel message from beginning to end in much more detail than we had come through in the whole week. And so after about 30 minutes, I asked the question, okay, now that you've heard this message, do you believe it is true? They again looked at me and said, yes. Okay. Do you have assurance that if you were to die today, you will go to heaven and get your eternal reward? And I pointed to my bracelet, my tool. Two of them said, so I was able to sit with them. And I said, we are a community. I'd already shown them earlier in the week. As a community, you pray. You're praying women. That's how we gain our strength. And so we gathered together, arm in arm, with every head bowed. We all repeated the same thing, so that they weren't too timid to do it. And we led them in salvation. Two women, Guadalupe and Rosa. I looked up, and Guadalupe had tears in her eyes. And I said, okay, now your next step is you have to go tell someone. And if you don't know who to talk to, let's go to your pastor of the town at the house of prayer. And Domingo can talk to you. And then I asked them who had a Bible. And I was a little more shocked at that only about a third of them had a Bible. But Sheree gave up her own Bible to give to the one woman of Guadalupe. That way she had the word and she was equipped. And so my message is simple. No matter if we're here or where we're at, we have to be intentional in everything we do about sharing peace.
Okay, so I didn't know why I was going. I kind of thought this was going to be my last trip, so I was kind of like excited to go, and then Gleason told me, can you do the Bible lessons in the village? And I'm like, there's adult, like to myself I was thinking, well, there's some adult women, like why me? Why do you want me to share? And I was like, well, there's some other people who can do it, but I was like, okay, I'll do it. And so got some crafts, and I looked at the crafts, and I found some Bible stories that would go good with them. And so the first day, we talked about faith. Faith is believing in something you cannot see. And so I blindfolded one of the girls, we spun her around, made her sit down in a chair. But then we also told them, she told me that she was scared at first. Like, I went up to her before it started and I said, can you put your faith in me and volunteer today? She goes, well, I don't know what you want me to do. And I was like, it doesn't matter. Can you put your trust in me and trust that I'll keep you safe and make sure everything goes good? And can you volunteer, help me with being a volunteer today? She goes, okay. And her name is Severina. She was actually the girl I connected with really well the first time I went to Jordan. And when I first saw her, we went over to her family's house, the parents' house. And she just looked at me and she goes, Cherie? And I was scared because some people in Laguna didn't remember us at all. And it almost made me cry because I was worried she was not going to remember. But, so the first day, I had to have a lot of faith in myself and faith in God, that He would speak through me. So I shared with them John 20:29. Then Jesus told him, because you have seen me, you have believed. And blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe. And so, kind of the next day, we talked about the bracelets. This was the tool that some people are going to start talking about, or have talked about. We needed something that we could continue to go off of all of the Bible stories. And we needed something that we could share. So the second day, we made these bracelets. And so the first one, the purple bee, stands for God and all of the creations. God created the heavens and the earth. God created everything. And then sin and darkness came in. While we were making the bracelets, I'm a happy person. And so I was like, and this one means sin and darkness. And so some of the people pointed out, I was a little too happy saying that. And so that's why some of them are laughing right now. And then this, the red bead, the blood that God shared for us. And then when He died on the cross for us, our sins were wiped clean, and we were white as snow. But they don't know what that means, so they didn't know what snow is. So it's like taking a bath and you're clean again. That's how we had to explain it. And then baptism, a profession of faith that you share to everybody and tell everybody that you are a child of God, you believe in God. Then the green. This is growing in faith, growing your life in Christ. And then the gold or yellow is the eternal goal, living in heaven forever. And so this was our tool that we got to use all week. And then the next day I was having a hard time, like, well, how can I use the bracelet and still talk about being the lights of the world? And so it came to me that that's what we do with the green bee. We share God's light with others. And so we told them, Jesus said, I am the light of the world, and whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but have the light of life. And so we told them that we need to share with others. Share with others the good news. Share with others the breakthrough. This is how we can tell each other, our friends, about God. And then the last day, we made prayer boxes. Once we have told these people about God, we need to pray for them, that they can continue their path to Christ. And so that's what we talked about for the lessons, at least. Said in the beginning, thought this was my last trip, but when we left, it wasn't sad when we left. It was this feeling of peace and knowing that even if it's not with the church, I'm coming back here. And this place has a special place in my heart that I'll keep praying for them. And so, before I start crying, that's what we did this week.
I'm kind of going to discuss visiting and how some of the families there invited us into their homes. Normally that's not always the case. There's except for maybe one person that we would actually go into their home and we visit them. We met them maybe my first time, but at least the second time, some of the second time. But it was well, someone had said, I'm not sure who it was or who they told about it, but they wrote a note. And they had said that people always come for the week and then just give them stuff and then they never come back. Well, we come back, we explained why there was such a large gap in between because, well, the other time that we went there was a lot of flooding. And then, and they understood and all that. But as we had come through there, a lot of them were just inviting us in. There was already that bond that we had. And so there was two chances that we had where they wanted to invite us in, they wanted to provide a meal for us. And I'm not sure who was talking about it, but someone had said that when they had found out that nobody in the village had offered that to us yet, that they were mad, or they were really upset about that. Like, they wanted to bring us in, they wanted to provide for us, just as we had come in there and helped provide for them. There was that bond, and they wanted that sense of companionship with us. And going in there and eating with them, it meant a lot. Not only were we as a team very honored by what they had done, because they had provided from limited supplies, or they had put their time and effort, they had gotten up really early in the morning just to prepare those meals. And I'll tell you what, it was a full course meal. it was really good. It was wonderful. And I mean, just as we were honored, I looked up at them and I saw their faces, and I think they felt even more so. They were glad that we accepted what they offered to us, and that not only that, but they saw our faces and they saw food. But apart from that, at the very end, what I had mentioned earlier is how most people don't return. Well, at the very end of the week, the chairman of the village at the time had invited us in, and they had another really big meal. And they also made this drink called cacao juice, which is something that they only do for celebrations. So that right there was them celebrating all the time that we had together. And as we left this time, it wasn't exactly as hard because they had, well, they knew that we might come back, that we had already come back, and it wasn't as heartbreaking. They might not see us again. And then, oh yes, one quick thing I would like to mention as well. The bracelets that Sharif mentioned, they helped a lot, especially with the little kids, like anywhere from 3 to 6. But, or whatever, as long as they can understand. Well, a lot of them, well, as Leanne will probably tell you in a bit, we were doing little games with them, and in between games, I would just kind of stop there for a second, and I'll be staring at them. And they were looking at my wrist, because we had made the bracelets at an earlier time throughout the week. And so, multiple times throughout the week, I would always ask them, do you guys remember what this is? And some of them would say they were a little shy at first, but they would slowly, bit by bit, they would say, like one person would raise their hand, and they just, all right, say it, and another person over here, and if they didn't remember, then I'd go over with them. By the end of the week, most of the little kids knew exactly what it was, even though they may have lost their bracelet or something. Like, they may have lost it physically, but they remembered it in their hearts. That's something really important that I got to see throughout the week. Does anybody have any questions about that? About that portion? Alright, I'll go ahead and pass it on.
Hey, you said you hate kids.
Say my stuff.
Don't you?
Okay, thank you. It's your leg.
I'm blind. All right. Wait, what happened? I didn't hear.
No.
All right. Okay, so like they said, the first thing I said when we got there was, I don't want to deal with the kids. I don't like kids. Kids are tiny. Kids are fragile. Yada yada yada. I told them I hated kids and despised kids, but really I just meant I'm terrified of kids.
I feel you.
You were a kid once.
We get to the village. First thing I do is kids everywhere. And this is just gonna be part of it. I have another part to it, but for the most part, what I did was I played Duck Duck Goose with the smaller kids. I can't see any of you, so I'm not gonna scare any of you. I played with, I don't know how old they were, but the younger ones. And at some point during it, Jim asked us to go, me and Ryan, to go into the bus because we didn't have enough of the little frogs he had made, so we needed to make a few more. And while we were on the bus, I was full-blown arguing with Ryan because I thought I was there for no reason. I was like, why did I come? I'm useless here. I'm not doing anything. I'm just playing with the kids. They don't understand any of this. I'm not teaching them or anything. But come to find out later during the time, me playing with the kids ended up giving Michelle time to minister to the women and Michael to minister to the men because I was watching the kids. Granted, they were throwing rocks and stealing my shoes, but that's yeah, exactly. I'm terrified of kids. And they also made me carry a crying baby, and he would just scream, and I was just like, what do I do with this? So, I ended up realizing that the reason I went was mainly to not only strengthen my faith, but also to help a few of them strengthen theirs in a sense. I can't explain it, but to strengthen theirs. And the reason I feel that was my thing was because before I met Ryan, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to say this without crying. I was in a forced relationship that caused me to lose a lot of faith. And I hated everything and everyone in a sense. I had no trust for people, no trust for family, friends, or anything. I didn't have friends then. And then, and it wasn't more that I lost faith in God. I lost faith in myself that I'd never be able to reach Him in a way. I don't know how to say it. But then Ryan came, and then all you guys came, and I was like, closer, closer, closer. And then the mission trip made it all the more real, like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just so overwhelmingly there that it's like, look it, y'all can't see it, I'm shaking. It's there, I just can't say it, and I'm sure you guys understand it. It's, I don't know. Please help.
Ryan, help us.
Ryan. I'm done. And you guys understand. You guys understand. I'm going back to sit down.
So, I'm gonna start back where she said that we were arguing. She was angry, and I could understand why she was angry because she didn't know why she was angry. She thought she was wasting her time, but I was just there looking at her. It's like, just wait, just wait. And then, well, as the week began to wrap up, not only would they not let her go, they were threatening to put her in a cage and keep her threatened.
Like a real cage or a metaphorical cage?
Let's not think about that because she's here with us now.
Where's your other life?
Yeah, where's your other life?
There was also an inside joke, which I will explain. Well, they were asking me because they didn't know that we were married, but I had mentioned it, and they seemed kind of surprised. And so they asked me, what day did you get married? So I told them. It was a slip of the tongue because I always get June and July mixed up. So I corrected myself instantly, but it was too late. I said July 22nd, and I'm like, oh, no. And then what? They respond. It's like, are you lying to us? It's like, no. Okay, it's June. It's June 22nd. And then man happens to turn the corner. There's your cue. And they explained to her what I had said. And he was like, oh, so you're married to somebody else, huh? And it went on from there. They kept asking me if they could meet her throughout the week. I don't know what you're talking about. But no, apart from that, it was towards the end of the week. They didn't want to let her go. It became very clear, very evident why she was there. She was there, she ministered to the kids. They were wrapped up. And I tried playing Duck Duck Goose with them at another point, but they were just sitting there waiting. It took them a while to actually want to play it because they wanted her. But she had already gotten up to go play volleyball.
Somebody asked me to play, I had to go.
But,
They requested me.
Yeah,
Just
so
stay there if you're gonna.
there was that, but at the very end, after we saw everything that happened, she knew why. Not only there was a letter. I don't know if we have the letter, but
I think we're gonna get to the letter.
okay. It meant the world to the parents that she was there, able to play with and teach their kids a game that they could use for the rest of their lives, and not only pour into them with love, but make them feel included. And so, as she was saying with the faith, the entire trip, we had to have faith. I'm not going to say too much because I think somebody else is going to touch on that, but everything we had to do was based on faith. Like, there was a lot of times where we had to stop and just be the first one.
Tell them about that first round of Dutch Goose.
I don't know if I'm qualified to say that. I wasn't there for the first round.
Okay.
We'll let Lauren say. Okay.
There's a video of it.
We're the first ones to play Duck Duck Goose. And
The kids have
I was
never
trying to
heard
explain how it works. You get in a circle, and then one person's going to go around, duck, 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 goose. And then that person is it, and they go around the circle, and you have to try to get back to the spot first.
and you run.
And you run around. Well, first time around, duck, 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 goose, everybody scatters. Everybody ran. I'm like, oh, this is going to be just a fail. Wrong game to play.
Roll the video.
We'll cue the video. But it took about 3 tries to get everyone involved, and then more people and more people and more people started, joining. And at that point, I let those younger than me sit on the floor. But it was really good.
That's not what it was, you just didn't want to play, so you threw me there.
But yeah. All right. Good job, Leanne.
You gonna take Coral with you?
Yes.
Golden Coral.
I'm Amy Youngman. If I haven't met you yet, this is my daughter Coral. She's 13. So we didn't know until about 6 weeks before the trip that we were going on the trip. So we had about 6 weeks to mentally prepare to leave the country, to get a passport, and all the other things you have to do, and it all worked out. So there was, talking about how the kids were so shy with us. The first day or two, we were like, whoa, tough crowd. What are we gonna do here? There's no smiles. They're not singing, clapping. They're not, relating with us. And so by day 2 or 3, they're warming up to us a little bit. And then we were playing volleyball and soccer. No bounds of language. We had so much fun. They had a little dirt volleyball court you see in the pictures and the soccer field, and we could play that with them, and you don't have to talk. And they were better than we were in most of the time. And Coral's my soccer star, so all the little boys wanted to play soccer with her. She couldn't get away from them, and so I played volleyball since junior high. I thought, next time we go, we're going to have a 6-week boot camp, get in shape. Ooh, those kids are...
Who'd you marry her off to again?
I tried.
No!
They marry young there, so I was looking, just keeping my eyes open. A nice young man.
Dad.
By the way, I can always go back and visit there. I don't have to pay for her college.
She tried like 7 times. She's like, oh, he's cute.
Stop. Maybe next time, let's see. It rained the first day or two that we were there, so of course everything there is dirt. And they were barefoot, so we took off our shoes and we played volleyball and soccer in the mud. We were head to toe. It was fun, but it was slippery. It was slippery. We fell a lot. Jack and Nick.
Tuck in the roll.
There were no injuries, thank goodness. We didn't have to use the insurance. I don't know how many times Michael Jackson said that the whole trip. Don't use the insurance!
That is our true motto, yeah.
Good thing my insurance pays for it though.
I'm just understanding how irresponsible we are as a church because that's a running joke on every mission trip. Like, that's the first thing that Gleason says.
We've never used the insurance. That's what's
I know!
It's just
You keep saying it's possible.
a reminder.
It's just a
Yeah, it's
I think Monster tells him to say it.
He gets a page every 30 minutes. He has got
But we played in the mud, and we got dirty, and we got sunburned, and they had so much fun, and we had so much fun, and they really warmed up to us that way. And so the last day we were there, Coral and me and Sophie, I'm sure you were sitting with us. You didn't sit with us. You were playing soccer. Sophie and I think sat down with some of the 12-ish, 13-year-old girls that we played volleyball with all week that really started clinging to us, you know, the last day or so, of course, you know, when it's over, and wanting pictures, and they wanted our address, and they want to write letters, and they want to keep in touch. So I didn't realize the relationships that we would form there. You know, I knew we would love the kids, of course, but I didn't know that they would care that we were there. Or if other mission teams come in there and they're like, oh, another group of, you know, people to come play with us or whatever, but they didn't hear me about this and wanted our information. They wanted pictures of the girls and addresses and stickers. Goodness, we'll bring more stickers next time. Stickers, and got to sit down with a group of about five of the girls that were about that age. And just ask them. And well, because several more started coming as they saw us sit down. And this is off topic, but as we sat in our circle to start having this serious conversation, this little boy comes, Duck, Duck, Duck. Hold on. So we got to train them well. We saw the circle. So we got to ask them some questions because some of them are Mennonite and some of them are in church and some of them used to go to the Baptist church that was there that's not there anymore because there were issues, and so we got a lot, you know, going on in their village, and I think probably a lot of confusion for the other ones, and just got to ask them some questions about what does the Bible say? Do you have to do certain things to get to heaven? What do you have to do to get to heaven? What do you think about Jesus? What, just lots of questions, and there was a lot of, you know, they don't know. And I said, we talked about growing, you know, the green bean, grow in your faith. What does that mean, grow in your faith? And when you say that, praying and talking to God and reading your Bible and studying. We don't have Bibles. We don't have Bibles. So they just listen to their preacher or whatever, their church, but never are able to read and study on their own. So we're going to remedy that and get back to see them and stay in touch and answer questions and study with them hopefully and things like that. And continue the mission until we continue to do. Good time.
Hey, Jim. It's your turn.
No, it's not a choice.
First thing, thank you for all your support. Thank you for all your prayers. This church is wonderful. No matter how much fun we have, no matter how much serious things go on, this church supports us in different ways I can't even explain. My part that I would like to share is there was a small project that I wanted to have an idea to support this church and have a relationship with the Belize Bible College. And there was a friend that had that vision, and I wanted to pursue that vision to go on this mission trip. And what we did was try to set up a little scholarship for students that needed help. Well, when I went to college, I needed help too. And someone else was generous to give me some funds to just buy some books. And this gentleman, for 2 years, was a very, very wonderful man and very, very good friend. Not only to me in this relationship, but to this church and this community and the surrounding area. So my idea was maybe we can honor him and their family. So I wanted to say that we made the Michael Paul Mayberry Memorial Scholarship. 2 students last fall received $100 scholarships already to go to the Belize Bible College. With your help, with your support, with the funds, with all the individuals in this church that wanted, we had 9 total students this coming up. So 9 students get $100 scholarships each. You'll see a couple in the video. We also wanted to honor the family. So we prepared a plaque with a picture of Michael Paul Mayberry to hang up in the Belize Bible College over in Belize. I presented to the president, Sherry Molbank, and then Bob Farley.
Michelle.
Wrong
One of the Molbanks. But by doing that, it allows other students and other individuals in Belize to be able to get some support. And with this support, with this, I've handed over the reins to Mr. Jack Mayberry to let his vision see what his dad saw. So those were some of the things that we did and accomplished for this church, for this community, and for the honor of this family. And one last note, this is a different letter, but one of the gentlemen, one of the leaders, wasn't there, but their family came up to me at the very end and presented this letter. They wanted me to read it. We did it at one of the God moments. And to the team, hello everybody. Sorry I couldn't be with you guys this time. I'm busy. Just want to let you know, all know that I really appreciate all what you've been doing for the community. You're all welcome anytime. Thanks to Brother Jim and the rest of the team. Thank you all. May God continue to bless you and your friends and your family. Florence. So we've kept a relationship, no matter how hard, no matter what obstacle, we want to keep this relationship with this village. And it's been an honor and a privilege to be able to work with this church and with this team. Thank you.
You're up.
Such a long walk.
I kind of had the same situation that Leanne had. A lot of the time I kept thinking to myself, like, when am I gonna get it? Like, as a new believer, you have a lot of doubts, you know? And so, it literally took me a whole year just to do a baptism because I was so scared to go public. And, what's it called? Michelle had called me just because I happened to be one of the people that were there, like, around, and she was like, come here. Because we had a buddy system, so like going in people's houses, so like, you know, like, they did. And so, I think it's actually where I first met Felicita, which is one of the girls that I was playing volleyball with. I did volleyball most of the time, even though I kind of went around and around, like most people would ask me, like, come play volleyball, come play volleyball. And so yeah, and they were actually shocked to hear that I haven't even played volleyball for the past like 3 years, because I hadn't played since 7th grade. And so they were like, just go play. And I do think myself, I'm making some connections with everybody is. I'm not getting as close to everybody as everybody is. And I was like, I don't see why I'm here in the first place. I don't seem to have any importance in the trip. And later on, I realized that because there was a group of sisters, and one of of the first like sister that I met was Myrna, and later on I realized that when another girl, Marissa, I was saying, "Where's Myrna?" And she pointed at the house that we went to, which was the woman that we were praying for, Michelle. And I was like, wait a minute. And then the fourth day, Felicity God had came up to me and she gave me that basket with the beads on it.
This one.
Yes.
Sorry.
And she had a note in it.
Bad.
And I was kind of confused because I didn't really seem to know her well, but then I realized that Myrna was her sister, and I was like, that's the same house that we came to go pray for. And I remember asking for a name, and one of the names was Felicity. And so I had realized I made a connection before I knew I made a connection. And when she gave me the letter and note, I was like, wait, I don't remember the name. I feel so bad. And so I ended up asking Marissa, what's Myrna's sister's name and this stuff. And I wanted to make sure. And it actually ended up being one of the girls that was in the house when we were praying for the women. And she had written me a letter saying, "Dear Sophia, I praise and thank God for the opportunity to know you. You were such a kind girl, and I know that you're going to do really good in your junior year of high school. I hope you're excited about it. I'll always remember the good talk we had on your third day of being here. I also enjoyed playing volleyball. It's sad to see you all leaving, but I enjoyed all the fun activities you guys provided. It's really encouraging, and I learned some new things. Thanks a lot. I hope to see you next year with the group that you'll be coming with next year, Sophia. Thank you very much for giving me your address. I'll be writing you when classes resume. I hope we could be best friends. The best basket is a gift from me to you. Hope you liked it. So you can remember your friend is a gift from God. And so you can also remember your time in Belize. I hope to see you again next year. Bye, take care, and God bless you, Sophia. Love, Felicity God. Can you please read this part? And then I read it in one of the devotionals. And it also mentions Milan's name. To those who gave me your addresses as well, thank you very much. I'll be writing to you soon. It's sad to see you all leave, but thanks a lot for everything, you guys. You guys are a very big help to everyone in my village. I really appreciated your help and activities, and I know it's encouraging to see the younger children play. I know they enjoyed that duck Goose game, and I hope to see you all again next year. I hope you guys have a safe trip back home. Take care, guys, and God bless you all. Bye. Sincerely, Felicity God.
Oh, Lorenzo, where you at? You're up.
He was kind of high.
Stood up for Muppet. It's like real hurt.
So, I am someone who's not articulate unless I have something to look at that has my thoughts on paper. Yeah. I'm already looking down a little bit. It's not because I don't want to look at you. Anyway. I previously, before deciding to go on this mission trip in February, I was never really called to go internationally. I never felt the need to. I went on this mission trip to New York where I spent 2 months with the church. There wasn't a lot of motivation to serve the church. There wasn't a lot of leadership. And so that trip taught me that there's still very much need for missions here in the USA, but it also taught me the importance of being a church member. And so for the past 2 years, that's been something that I've been motivated to do is be more involved with this church, get to know the people, and also look for opportunities to serve. And so I heard Michael mention that we needed people to go on mission and was out of the country. And so I decided, well, this is an opportunity for me to serve. It's an opportunity for me to get to know the people of this church more so. I mean, I know a good part of you, but not everyone. And so I thought, yeah, I'll do it. Let's see what happens. And so yeah, it was kind of a leap of faith. I didn't know what God would bring. I knew nothing about Belize. And so moving forward to the trip itself. So some of the things we did, we've heard mentioned the VBS, soccer and volleyball. Talked to the people. And so a couple of key moments during that time in Jordan is I became known as the yellow man. Yeah, I know. I was sitting down and I took off my hat just to air out my head, and like, the man behind me is, why do you have two different colors of hair? And I got to explain to him, I dyed it just for fun, But that was cool. I made a connection with one of the boys. His name was Marlon, a 10-year-old boy, and very shy. He would always be. Whenever he called me, he would whisper. But no, I got to know him. I sat down with him and we just talked about our families, where we've been. He asked me what snow was. Yeah, bad analogy for Central America. But no, I got to share God with him, what He's done in my life, and so that was very moving for me. That I was thankful that I was able to be used in that way. Another key moment was the church that we got to go to the Church of Hope in Laguna, and something that showed me is what a great God we serve. His message reaches all tongues, all nations. I'm the furthest I can be away from what is comfortable for me, what is normal for me, and it's the same message. And so I want to end with a piece of scripture. So really why I went on this trip, and it just sums it up. It's from 2 Corinthians 5, verses 14 and 15. It's that Christ's love compels us because we are convinced that one died for all, and therefore all died. And He died for all, that those who should live no longer live for themselves, but for Him who died and raised them, who died for them and was raised again. Thank you.
I guess it's me now.
Yep.
Kind of wrap it up and we'll take questions in a second. This is an interesting trip for me. This is, most of y'all know, this is my 5th trip. My 4th to lead a team to Belize. And probably preparing for this trip was the hardest trip to prepare for. Even with the group of 20, the preparation side was not as hard. Pastor Jack and I had several conversations over a couple of weeks and months. Just that I was on the verge of canceling the trip. And Pastor Jack would say, we'll give it another week. And then the thing that I was worried about, or the thing that is happening that was going to cause me to cancel the trip that time, God would take care of. There weren't enough people. There weren't, there weren't the right amount of people to go. That was a big one. And we get to 10, we go to 7. And we went to 8, and we went to 9, and then back to 7, and then back to 10 and 11. And I don't know, most of y'all know this has been kind of a rough year for me early on with my grandmother and things, and then just my schedule this summer. I planned it. It's my fault. but I got to a few weeks ago, and I'm going, I'm tired. It's not even summer yet, and I'm tired, and I'm going, I'm not sure I can do this. And there was one night I was awake late at night and just asking God, am I really supposed to do this? Am I really supposed to take this group? And I got a definite yes that night, and we hadn't even started raising money yet. We hadn't started the pie deacon thing, we still owe 3 deacons. Just
We need the wanted posters.
But at that moment, I'm in the middle of the night, and God says yes, and I hadn't started raising money. I said, God, you're just going to have to do it, and I'm not going to worry about it. And God provided the money without. We had more than enough money after the pie deacon thing that God provided for us. We actually didn't spend as much money while we were there as we planned. And we were able to leave a love offering with the missionary. And I told Pastor Jack this about a week before, I think, is when I talked to you. I said, my goal is to find somebody that I can train to be the leader, because I think my time is up. Well, after this trip, I don't think my time is up. I think God is doing something else and adding something. I'm still supposed to find a leader, but it's not for that team. I believe God is doing something bigger in Belize with our church, in a way which I think the last trip, we tried to force it. And all of y'all that went on that trip, it's not y'all. We just tried to force something. We were doing a mission trip to do a mission trip, and not exactly where God wanted us at the time. I think that's why we didn't get to go to Jordan. I think that's why, things happened the way they did in that trip. Those that know about that trip, it was a rough trip. It rained every day we were there. We didn't go where we thought we were going. We did great stuff. We were planning a building project that didn't happen because of the rain, and God was showing me things this week that, I got to sit back and be part of the team this time. I got to be part of the team instead of just the leader. And that's a credit to the team that went. That's a credit to this church and the prayers that were going on while we were there. That's a credit to a lot of things that were done right by this church and the heart of this trip to missions to Belize. Those that don't know, this is my 5th trip to Belize. In 2013 was my first trip, and then we went 2014-15 over New Year's, and we were in search of another village, actually much farther out. I didn't realize how much farther out until talking to them this week, how much farther out St. Lucas was than Jordan. And the story is that we were going through Jordan and the bus got stuck. And they had a funeral. A young man had been killed on a motorcycle. And that community was in mourning. And so we ended up being a presence in there, an encouraging presence that trip. We come back this year, and they were asking about people that were on that first trip. That's five years ago. People that haven't been back since. Some of them have, but some of the people, Alex Schultes, they were asking about Haley Eckert, that were there with us 5 years ago. They were asking for people like Tammy and Savannah, and these relationships that we're building are real. And they are important to this village. They're important to us. It was really cool because, you think 3 years, it's been 3 years since we've been there, that they wouldn't remember our names. We were there for a week. I don't remember people I saw for a week. Back 3 years ago, I couldn't tell you who I went to camp with a couple of weeks ago, other than, I'm not talking about our group, I'm talking about other people. I'm not.
Glad to know we chose to you, man.
I was thinking like the camp staff. Like the camp staff. I didn't know I don't remember the camp staff's name, except the ones that I've known for years, right? I don't know the new staffers' names there at Zephyr. Like the people that work for Zephyr. I've spent a whole week there, I don't know all their names. I know like one, because I've known her for like 3 or 4 years. But, to me, I got there, we had spent an hour on the bus, not sure if we were going to make it to Blue Creek, not sure we were going to be able to cross Blue Creek the first day. We get there and the water's down low, we're able to cross. And I get in there and the first person I see is Santiago. He's the chairman of the village. And he comes up to me and starts talking to me. Like we've been friends for 3 or 4 years, you know? But we're there. And I end up in the corner sitting talking to him. And these 2 boys, Andrew and Marlon, how old do you think they were?
Marlon was 10.
10.
I think they were both 10.
Andrew's
10-year-old boys come up and they're standing in the window looking at me, going, and I said, what are y'all looking for? They go, I want you to do a trick.
Remembered you, Micah.
7-year-olds remembered that I did magic and remembered, I am very rememberable in this village, just so you know. I'm 6'2" and I'm a big guy. None of these people even come close, They're little.
They're like me, right?
Yeah. I'm not going there. But that's the first thing they're looking at me for. Santiago's talking to me. Domingo comes in. The pastor of the church remembers me. These 2 boys who are now 10 from 3 years ago remember me that I do magic. And somehow that little bit of magic made an impression on them and opened the doors for us to share the gospel. The beads, the volleyball, the soccer, the crafts, all those things. Duck, duck, goose. Quack, quack, honk, yes. That's the new name for duck, duck, goose. Quack, quack, honk. Or quack, quack, hyena. And so those things open the doors for conversations, opportunities for me to talk to the pastor of the village and just encourage him. Several years ago, after we left the last time, we had gotten a message from Bob that there had been a church planted in Jordan, a Baptist church. Now the true story of that came out this time and what happened. See, Jordan is a Mennonite-founded village. The Mennonite missionary came to the villagers and says they can't come back. And so what did they do? They started a church. And I'm like, so that's kind of the wrong reason to start a church, just so you know. Not because you're angry that we can't come back, but there was this connection there that they felt so strongly about it that they would defy the Mennonite missionary to start. There's some Southern Baptists in Belize that are causing lots of problems right now. They're not our kind of Southern Baptist. They're doing some very horrible things and hurting churches all over Belize. The missionary was telling me about that. Well, they had paid for the building, so somehow they got connected with this group. They had paid for the building. They tried to buy the pastor of the House of Prayer Church to get him to be the pastor, like pay him money, lots of money, which he refused, and so that was a good thing. But when the church failed and they had brought in a pastor that he didn't live there and didn't want to live there, and really the people didn't connect with the people, he left. They came and they stripped the building of all the outside wood. And so there's a frame of a shell of a building left there as a reminder to the people of that. And then on top of that, the Pentecostal church came in and decided, without the permission of the village, to plant a church there. They stole 2 families from the House of Prayer, and they planted their church right across the street. And they have electricity, which the town got electricity since the last time we were there. So there's all kinds of electrical poles and stuff. And there's lights in houses and stuff, which is kind of cool. And then, so on Sunday mornings, during the worship service, they have music, and they have instruments, and they have amplifiers in the Pentecostal church. and the pastor told me that he can't even hear to preach at the house of prayer because these Pentecostals, and they're causing that much trouble in town. And so he was very, very much in need of somebody to talk to and to share with, and so we prayed together. We found out there was division within the community because there's Mennonites, there's the House of Prayer Church, there's the non-church goers, and then there's the Pentecostals. And when you got Pentecostals, the church, one church telling all the villagers they're doing church wrong because they're not Pentecostal. And it's causing problems, division within the community. Michelle mentioned one day that she said, "Do y'all pray together?" She goes, and one of the ladies spoke up and says, "No, I'm Mennonite and she's Pentecostal. We don't pray together." And so there's division. There's a reason we're going. What we asked, actually Michelle asked Bob, and she should be the one talking about this more than me. She asked, how do you deal with that in these villages? And Bob told her just what you're doing. Going and bringing them all together and praying with them and sharing the gospel together with them. And so, little small village has 3 churches. It's like right here. It's very interesting, but they all still, there's still a lot of people, just like in America, that claim to be Christian, but have no connection with the actual church. They might show up every once in a while and stuff. So they need the gospel just like everybody else. And I think this is the first time we've gone. We've had salvations there. We connected them with the house of prayer, and just kind of the week we had. The missionary said that it's one of the best weeks we've had as a church there. It just keeps getting better, he said. And so we're going to be talking about future things. I got lunch planned one day this week with somebody, and we're going to be talking about some future stuff. And yeah.
You mentioned the chicken.
Yes.
Oh.
We're waiting for the exploding
Oh,
baby.
you want to hear the story about the
But you have to wait
chicken?
because Lamar needs to come back because
He's right here.
All
Hurry
right.
up.
Or the flooded
So, okay. Oh, the flooded road.
Oh, no, exploding chicken first.
Okay. So, I've now been tasked with telling a couple of stories. One of them is extremely funny. It's one of those things that's a once in a lifetime type of story.
Do that on us.
No.
Yeah, they want to hear it. Do that.
Okay, now.
That's your last button.
Okay, so we're out playing volleyball. I'm out there playing. Who is this? Was it you? Were you out there?
It's me and Sophie and you.
Yeah, we're all playing. There's several of us playing softball. And the ball.
Softball.
Sorry, volleyball.
It's a softball.
One of those balls.
It was a ball. It's been a long week and I'm tired.
Okay, let him tell the story.
The ball got hit off to the side, and it just over into the grass. And the girl, Marissa, went to go get the ball, and as she kicks the ball, well, around the volleyball court there had been this chicken. Just kind of, the chickens were everywhere. They were free range, yes. And as she kicks the ball,
Super hard, very hard.
like she kicked it,
Like soccer hard.
like a soccer ball. Y'all want to tell the story?
It's funnier when you do.
Yeah. That ball flies and hits the chicken, like right on. And that chicken, the feathers go. And the next thing you hear, it sounds like a rubber chicken.
When you shake it.
Like when you shake the rubber chicken, and that chicken just. We didn't see that chicken for the rest of the week.
And then we had chicken the next day. I saw it.
You saw it. You saw it the last day. But the other thing, we ate chicken a lot, and they were running around. There was.
You fed the chickens chicken?
Yeah.
You can. They will eat whatever.
Okay.
They eat everything.
So we we're sitting down to eat dinner. And I look around and there's chicken on the table, cooked, right? Well, around the edge of the room are these boxes, very, very close to us,
Just like
lining the outside of the room, and there's chickens in the roosted in there. There weren't empty boxes, just to say, and they may have taken them out for our sake, but we were eating chicken that was probably pretty much alive the day that earlier in that day.
Best way to do it.
Yeah. But yeah, and then during that meal, Jack and Coral finished off some tortillas, homemade corn tortillas. I think Jack ate 14 of them, and Coral ate 13. So,
Did you want some?
right? So,
And meanwhile, during that meal, the chicken started laying eggs.
what's that sound? Is that you?
I know what that sounds like. That's hilarious.
It was good first, so you know. Alright. So, alright.
You can't hear it back there. It's fine.
They can search up like.
This is my life.
You picked it.
Yeah, it is what it is. Thanks, John. So, what is it? Monday or Tuesday? It was Tuesday, right? Yeah, it's Tuesday. Tuesday, Monday night, it's late into the night. It had thunderstorm. And it, huh?
3 a.m.
3 a.m.
Very loud.
Till about 8 a.m. Very loudly pouring down rain and thunder, lightning, the whole shebang. We get on the bus and our driver Daniel goes, I'm sure Blue Creek is flooded. And I was like, nah, it's not flooded. It was low yesterday. It didn't rain that much. So we go out, we get onto the dirt road. There's about a few miles of pavement and then we hit dirt road and we go out an hour basically on dirt road going about 5 miles per hour. I'm not joking, it was 5 miles per hour. I looked at the speedometer. And we come to this spot and all you can see around until it curves, the road curves, is water on top of the road.
It was right after the sign that said, prepare to meet thy God. Prepare
It
to
did,
meet
that
thy
is,
God.
yeah. Yeah.
They were around the city actually.
Yeah, they were all over the city, these signs. But we go, Daniel actually put the bus into reverse and was gonna put it over. And I leaned up to him and I said, it's not very deep. Can we get through it? He goes, yeah. So we put it back into drive. We took the moment to stop and pray because
Because of the insurance.
well, it wasn't deep enough that it was going to affect the bus at all.
Okay.
So,
But it was
but
flowing.
it was flowing across the
The
road.
road was covered.
And I said, can we at least? I mean, we prayed, and I said, can we at least go to the bridge and check? Because if it's across the bridge, we can't go. But if it's below the bridge, we can go across and we'll be fine. He said, okay. And so he was about to turn around, and we convinced him to keep going. And so it was just around that curve where we couldn't see the water ended. Like right away. And we got to the bridge, the water was still low as it was the day before.
There was
It didn't look like it had rained at all.
There was no water past where the water ended.
The Jordan River was over.
Yeah, the river on the other side of Jordan
Completely full.
was completely flooded. We went and looked at it. It was amazing that, yeah. And so, that was the moment we were like, okay, God, whatever you're doing here, because Bob had also asked us to consider, and he later found out after I had already said stuff to people, he said that's kind of a plan B. I was like, oh great, you said consider this, you didn't say for plan B. There's a place called Midway, and I was ready to go if that was what we were supposed to do, which I'm glad we didn't because that was a really bumpy road. Like bumpy. In an old school bus. It was very painful. But we decided on Monday that we would go out to check out Midway because the possibility we might have to go out there. So we wanted to go all ahead and try to go make connections. We get to Midway, there's like 2 people outside. There's nothing going on. And there's no, it was a ghost. And it was like, I don't think we're supposed to be here. There's no person of favor in this town for us to connect with. And we turned around and went back because there was, it was just, there wasn't a piece about staying. There wasn't a, hey, this is where we're supposed to be. And so we ended up staying later. We spent more time in Jordan in the afternoons after lunch. We'd go have lunch and then turn around and come back, or go to a house and have lunch and come back and spend more time with them. All right, I guess now we can do question and answer.
Wait, so I forgot to say something that's kind of a...
The notebooks?
Yeah.
You want to say something about the notebooks?
So, we've done this a couple of times in the past where we've given school supplies because school down there is free. They just have to be able to buy the school supplies. And when I was going to these small business networking groups in Corpus for my dad, someone came up to me and my dad had mentioned it, talking about the Belize mission trip and that we're about to go, and for some reason he told them that we need journals. Someone came up to me afterwards and said, well, I'll go to Sam's Club, and the next meeting they handed me 60 spiral journals and composition notebooks. Every student from what we would say preschool age all the way up to high school got a journal and a pen. And I think we're going to be sending some more school supplies down later. I heard something about that. But not only did all of those students get journals, but also we donated whatever was left to the Bible College, or to the church there, to Bob and Rhonda. And I think they're going to give it out to the staff's kids who need journals and stuff like that too, and any student in the church that needs journals as well. And so we helped at least 60 kids get to go to school this year. At least a little bit.
Oh, you reminded me of something I wanted to say. 3 years ago, we packed backpacks to send to Belize for those kids in the village. Sorry. One of the things we did is we put handwritten notes to each kid in those backpacks. Those handwritten notes meant something to those kids when they got the backpack. It was mentioned. Who was it? Was it you that was mentioned to?
Felicita.
Yeah.
She goes, well, when you guys sent those school supplies, I found a note that had my name on it. And it just really touched her heart that someone took the time to personally write her a note with the things that she liked and the things that they had shared together that week. And she goes, you guys are really special. But they wanted us to bring Kezia, Victoria, Patience, Tammy, and Savannah all back.
And Alex and Haley.
Yes.
Yeah.
You need to tell them that.
Yeah.
And the baby.
The baby?
Haley's baby. And
Babies.
baby.
Yeah.
What questions? No questions? We answered all the questions.
How's the Bible College?
Well, the building's complete. We actually, the men stayed in the Bible College in one of the classrooms. That's where we were housed. and along with some lightning bugs in there.
Hey, my sidelights. Did you ever see
At least it wasn't a tarantula.
And Jim's tarantula. And some rebar. They have finished 2 years of college, is that right? They have some that were ready to graduate with their associates, but they're waiting for Julio to finish his stuff. That's Michelle's area.
So I did go down there to work on the Bible college stuff. Little did I know that Aaron actually locked it all away and Bob couldn't access most of it. So he and I spent most of our time in prayer. So after everyone was off playing spades at night, he and Rhonda and I went back and prayed for all the needs for the college and the needs for instructors and just the leadership of the college, that some more people can come in and actually take some of the burden off of them because they're becoming overwhelmed. But we were really touched that I was going to go in May and provide a graduation ceremony for the 3 guys who had already completed their associate's degrees. And they said, we can't. You can't do this yet. I'm like, why? What's going on? And they said, Julio has 3 more classes. And we can't leave our friend behind. So we have, as a college, planned out the entire fall semester around what Julio needs to graduate. And hopefully I'll be back here in December to give the 4 guys their associate's degrees. And kind of another one of those coincidences.
Need to videotape the graduation.
We're going to try to live stream.
Yeah.
We're going to see if we can work that out. But another cool thing is Bob always finds people and plugs them in. And a few weeks ago, when they were in the backwoods in Guatemala, hiking, he was chit-chatting with a guy, Jeremy, out of Arkansas. And he's like, what do you do for a living, guy? And he goes, well, it's, I create images and things, but mainly school crests. And I'm like, wow. And Bob goes, we need someone to digitize a school crest for us and make it professional looking. And he goes, done, as soon as I get back. And so we officially, as of the Friday that we left, or the Saturday when on the plane I got the email that we have an official school crest, and it is just needs to go through board approval and we'll be good to go on there.
The funny thing is, you had asked me to do something.
Both of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could never get to it because of my schedule. And it happened there was somebody that I was already planned for.
But we have 10 students returning in the fall. They are already anticipating a new 5, so we'll have 15. But Bob says he wants 10 more. So we are sending all 10 students that are currently enrolled out, and they have 3 villages that they are going to go recruit in. Okay, so they're going to do that this summer.
Bob and I were talking yesterday, and he was talking about our connection as a church with them, and how God has every trip we've gone on connected him with somebody from our church to be part of the Belize Training Center, the Bible College. Who would have thought Michelle would be the president of the Bible College when we started talking about the Bible College before she ever went to Belize. We had, Michael had done a lot with the college. We're looking for other opportunities to do things, and the ag building. Yeah, Alex Schultes designed the ag building there. You'll see pictures of it. Eric fixes the electricity. Charlie fixes the water when we go. I mean, there are things that our church has been a part of at the Belize Training Center and the Belize Bible College that is amazing. That wouldn't be done, couldn't have been done if our church hadn't provided for the funds for people to go, hadn't provided the people to go, this year we're talking about daring greatly. And one of our things is being sent people. And this is an aspect of being sent people. We all, whether it's Belize or your neighbors or another city in Texas, another city in the United States like New Orleans or New York or wherever, we all should be sent people on mission for God in our daily lives and giving extra to the mission of God in our community. As a church, if we will all do that, it'd be an amazing thing. It'd be an amazing thing for the kingdom of God. Not just First Baptist Church, but the kingdom of God. We're really about building the kingdom, not just First Baptist Church. And so we want to be a part of that and be a part of what God is doing. And God seems to be moving in Belize. There are other places that God is moving that we know of, with Guerrero and these other things. But this has been a big part over the last 6 years. And this church has graciously given money to be a part, and people, and shared that with this community in Belize. And my prayer is that we continue to have a heart for this. We continue to support this ministry and the people who love it, and send people, and not wait. Jack and I are going to have a conversation later about how we can continue to do that yearly and provide people, not just for VBS, but for other things. And because there are other things going on, believe there are villages past Jordan that need to hear the gospel. People don't go there. They don't have water. They don't have electricity. It is a trek through the jungle to get to them, and people don't go there. It's that hour bus ride each day is hard going to Jordan. You're trying to talk to somebody, you're vibrating and you can't talk. You sound like you're holding a little thing against your throat while you're talking. It is a hard trip. It is not a vacation. This is not a vacation for us. We have a lot of fun while we do it. We do fun things while we're there, but it's not a vacation. It's a mission. And so I want y'all to understand that. And so there are places that need the gospel beyond that. There's places all over the world that need the gospel just like that. All right, Ed, you got any questions now?
Well, yes, from the seriously?
Yeah.
I was amazed at what the Bible College looks like as far as how far it's come since its inception.
Yeah.
I'm going to do some progression pictures from the slab that it first started and into what it looks like now. So everyone can see all the progress, and especially the ag barn. It has grown so much from just the shell that there was. They didn't have a chicken coop. They're getting ready to get chickens, and they have a ton of vegetables and fruit tree plants grown down in there.
And I had forgotten that Mark Schultz designed that.
Alex.
Oh, excuse me, his daughter.
Yeah.
Of course.
So.
The architect.
All right. Any other questions? 10 after 7 now, so we're past our time.
Y'all did great.
When the first missionary journey was over, looking back, so return, and was ready for you wonder, theologically, how to get all the wording, but it was just like what we're doing tonight. People were laughing, they were enjoying. Man, I teared up many times. I just, my heart's so full, so proud. I can't wait to see what's next. Just cannot wait. I appreciate Michael. Every year, just think, man, just so wonderful. Thank you. We had to do this tonight because they weren't going to be ready tomorrow. We had to do it tonight because the schedule.
We're gonna leave one Saturday.
One Saturday.
Take the rest of the high school one.
And say, Lisa's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Michael, don't forget party in the park beforehand.
I'm just taking one day at a time.
Casey, if you need a break, you can go play Susan at the school and I'll come.
You know, I wish we had time to know every person that went on this trip, to know their background, God's preparation in their lives to get them to that moment. And just amazing. It was a divine moment. It's God. Well, we're looking forward to it.
I want to say one more thing.
Okay.
Because I didn't say this a minute ago. We took 3 teenagers that just rocked it out this week.
Hey,
that were
awesome.
They were all in the whole week. They dove right in. They started playing games. They started doing the things that they were supposed to do. I didn't hear them complain. They might have complained, and it wasn't to me. But they, this is the first trip. I did some things. I let some people go, age-wise, that I hadn't done before. Coral's 13, and my rule has been up until this point 14 with a parent. And Jack's 15, and I let him go, and it's 16 without a parent. And so I let Jack go and was responsible for him and Sophie this week, and we got them there. We went with a little bit of.
And back in one piece.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you, Connie. We're very grateful for Connie for that. Coming up here in the morning and notarizing some stuff for us.
Actually open.
Yeah, it was amazing. It worked out really good. And there were, we had a little issue where we had to wait. Half of us went on one flight and half of us went on the other because of our little issue. But there happened to be another flight right after. It wasn't like we had to wait till the next day. God just provided. He planned it out ahead of time. And I know there was, for a couple of them, they'd never been on something like this, and there was some nerves and some things, but they just did, and they served beautifully before God and the people, and were great. And I want them to know that in front of y'all, that I'm very proud of them and proud of what they did. So.